Hello folks, this is Sula once again. Welcome to another video for our Teamfight Tactics. In this game, we're going to be looking at a Draconic transition, starting with a Draconic team setup, and then going into my classic bread and butter Karma team comp. And this is going to be taken from a ranked game. You might notice that everybody has the ranked borders on there, and I've gotten high enough that I saw my first person in Diamond pop up in a ranked game. Most people in this game are in either Plat 1 or Plat 2, and there's one person in Diamond 4. All right, so on the initial carousel, there's 3 tiers, and I wanted to get one of those tiers, but unfortunately I missed and didn't get any of them. Wasn't quite fast enough on the initial carousel, and I'm going to go ahead and pick up the rod instead, which is a decent fallback item for the setup I want to run. If you're planning on building into Karma eventually, you need to get 2 tiers for a blue buff, otherwise you're in a lot of trouble. So whenever I'm playing this comp, I always want to go for tiers at highest priority. All right, well, what happens here on the very first initial minion round is the first orb drops a Zyra, and that's really significant because that means that I can have the possibility to maybe play into Draconic. And Draconic as a basic team setup is something that you can't run in every single game. It's the econ trait here in set 5. People might remember Fortune from set 4. People might remember Pirates from some of the earlier sets, but there's always a gold generating trait of some kind in Teamfight Tactics. And here in set 5, it is Draconic. You need to get 3 Draconic units in order to play it. And it's not something that you want to run unless you can hit it very early. The way that Draconic works, it does not provide any in-combat bonuses. However, what it does provide is you will get these little eggs that drop over time. They'll pop up on your kind of character inventory screen, and then after a set number of rounds, they start hatching, and they're worth extra gold if you can get them. Sometimes they'll drop gold, sometimes they'll drop champions. If you can make it to Draconic 5, which requires playing all 5 Draconic units, they can start dropping items and Nikos, but it's more common to run Draconic 3. I would not recommend ever forcing Draconic. You really should only play it if you kind of natural into an Ashe or a Zyra early on, and that's exactly what happens. I get the Zyra drop, and then I get a set drop as well, and then here on this minion round, I get an Udyr as well. It's like, all right, well, I have all the pieces for Draconic, so I'm definitely going to play this. We'll go ahead and put this in. I'm going to run the, I've got the 3 Draconic units in Zyra, who's Draconic Spellweaver, Set, who's Draconic Brawler, and then Udyr, who's Draconic and Skirmisher. Udyr is kind of a dead unit and not really what I want to run. What I particularly want to run in this game is I want to get up to level 5 so I can run the 3 Draconic units, then I can have Brand in for Spellweaver, and I can have Gragas in for Brawler. The downside is my comp is very weak right now, because remember, Draconic does not provide any in-combat ability whatsoever. It drops these eggs, and I'll get the first one starting after this round, but it doesn't do anything in terms of traits. Aside from that, all my units are 1 star, so that's, not especially great. They're not going to be very strong in that regard. And I also don't have any items committed. I have these 2 rods, which I want to combine into possibly a death cap. I also want to wait to see what I get from the armory here. But I want to put them on Brand, and Brand is not in the comp yet. I think in retrospect, what I would have looked to have done would have been possibly to drop the Gragas here and then look to play the Brand instead. Like, drop Gragas, play Brand plus Zyra for Spellweavers, just because I was kind of lacking in damage here. Didn't really have much in the way of damage. I also had the option to play Kha'Zix for Dawnbringer, but I don't think that Dawnbringer is really going to be that useful here. It would make it so Gragas regenerates some life when he gets low. That armory didn't really have what I wanted either. I don't really want a sword for this particular setup, so I just opt to take the shadow version of the belt just to try to make someone tankier, and so I'll toss that on Gragas for right now. He does get the brawler bonus, he does get the extra health from the belt, but what my comp is lacking right now is, well, kind of everything. I was going to say it's lacking in damage, because it does lack damage, but in addition to that, it's not especially tanky either. Like, ignore Draconic. Draconic has put that egg on my bench, but until that egg actually hatches, it doesn't do anything. So right now I basically have Brawler 2, and then I have a Shadow Belt on Gragas, and that's basically it. And everything is a 1-star unit, so this really isn't particularly strong. Now this fight might look okay, but remember there's going to be an Abomination crashing in any second now, so I'm just hoping to kill what units I can. And as it turns out, Callista gets off a spear that just like one-shots the Zyra, who's the only one doing any damage. So yeah, not exactly the greatest start here. On this round, I'm going to hit 10 gold, and once again, I don't want to put anything else in. I want to hold at 10 gold because I'm trying to get my economy started. I'm just trying to survive these early rounds Going on a loss streak here is not the worst thing because it gives me higher carousel priority. I'm just hoping I don't take too much damage on these initial rounds. I've already taken 10 damage. That's not that bad. I think I took 6 damage from one round, 4 damage from another round. I can live with those kind of losses. What I don't want is the losses where I'm up against someone who's level 5 and I don't kill any units and I just take 10 damage or something like that. So like all of these comps are just much stronger than me. You see this person already has a Katarina with blue buff and the Forgotten trait in, so she's just blinking around, tossing out her daggers. She's almost one-shotting my units, unfortunately. So like I don't really get close to killing any units, and then I take 8 damage. And I was like, that's a bad loss. That's not what I want to have happen. I really don't want to lose too much health here in these early rounds because I think that I'll get stronger here if I can get in, number one, if I can get in Brand for Spellweaver, that'll increase my damage. Number two, if I can start to have these eggs hatch and produce some Draconic units, like I should get more Udyrs, I should get more sets, I should get more Zyras. And I just want to, that should allow me to 2-star these units relatively quickly. I just need the eggs to hatch. I actually got the slowest hatching egg on the very first round, which was kind of bad, but it'll be great when it finally does hatch. So I am last on health. I really don't like playing from behind like this. I prefer playing from ahead in Teamfight Tactics. I usually feel like even if I don't get perfect items, I can make something that's still pretty good, even if it's not completely ideal. But what I don't like is when I'm losing all this health and then I have to play from behind. But I do get basically the perfect item for me. I'm able to get the tier. So I'm going to commit the tier on Brand. Hopefully I'll be able to find another tier. And then I'm going to make the death cap. And the reason why I want to make the death cap is I'm losing too much health. I need to preserve health. I need to be stronger here, like right here in the mid game, so that I don't bleed out too much health. I don't want to. I've already lost 18 health on 3 rounds, and this is not sustainable. I need to get stronger right now. So again, I think time is on my side. I've got very lucky to find 3 Brands. Brand is not guaranteed to come out, and he's a very high priority unit right now. The sad thing is, unfortunately, my positioning is bad for this round. Brand is the unit I need to keep safe. He's going to be all my damage. But if you notice, the LeBlanc jumps on him immediately. Now, Brand's actually able to kill LeBlanc, but then Nocturne comes over to start doing his damage as well. And once Brand is dead, I don't really have much of a chance to win this fight. Brand got off a decent number of fireballs, but I'm still going to lose this round. At least it's not as bad of a loss. It's a 6 damage loss as opposed to the 10 I could have taken if it was really one-sided. So things are starting to look better, but I need to keep Brand safe in these fights. I've got 3 different eggs on my bench that are getting ready to hatch, so hopefully the eggs will finally start hatching. There we go. 2 of them pop right away. And I get another Zyra, and I get double Ashes. And I'm going to sell the Ashes. Now, I could opt to play the Ashes. Like, you could say, well, why not just replace the Udyr with Ash? Ash is a better unit than Udyr. Well, it goes back to what you want to run in this comp. Basically, my damage is going to come from Brand. He will do plenty of damage for the early game and mid game here. He's got a tier and he's got a death cap. His ult actually does ridiculous damage, does like over 1,000 damage. Of course, it takes time because it's a ticking damage over time effect. But like Brand is going to do plenty of damage, and he's got the Spellweaver bonus, so he's going to do more damage as the fights go on. What I need is not Ashe in this fight, shooting her little arrows with no ranger to make her stronger. What I need is a front line that will allow Brand to get more casts off. So Udyr is actually better in this setup than Ashe, just for what I need him in this team comp. The other thing that getting rid of the Ashes does is it lets me sell them for more gold. Like 2 Ashes popped out of that big egg, and I sold them for 6 gold. That's a lot of money this early in the game. Like getting a 6 gold drop is huge. That's like basically a free minion round in terms of what economic benefit I get. So long term, I think I'm in okay shape here. I just need to survive these rounds, not take too much damage, continue letting these eggs hatch to push my economy along. Yeah, there's another Ashe. That's another 3 gold. I really want another Zyra to pop out so I can get Zyra 2-star. And some sets would be nice as well. But the fact that I can get some of these units from the eggs instead of needing to buy them in the store, number one, it means I'm kind of guaranteed to 2-star all my Draconic units. And number two, it means that I'm preserving more money. I'm actually pretty rich right now. 35 gold on Krugs while also being level 5 is not bad at all. The thing that's the issue is my health. My health is low. It's only that to 76. And then I get another Nico. By the way, I should have mentioned that. I got the Nico start, which is, you know, always considered like the kiss of death to get the Nico start. And now I get another Nico. So now I've got 2 of them sitting on the bench. This would honestly be a situation where you could say, why don't you just play Brand reroll? Because you've already got the early Brand. And then you've got 2 Nikos to combine them into Brand 3-star. But that's not the route I was going to head in this game. And right there, I get a nice pop from the Draconic Egg. I'm able to get another Zyra. Still have not gotten any sets from the eggs so far. So, and I've only seen one set in the store, so it's pretty lucky I got the one set when I did. Otherwise, I just wouldn't have played Draconic in this game. As I said, Draconic is not something you can force. You kind of need to get an early Ashe or an early Zyra. Normally, I would not run Draconic in a team setup like this, but like I said, I hit the early Zyra and I hit the early set, so I was like, all right, we'll just play this and use this as our bridge to get to Karma Dawnbringers in the late game, which is where I want to be headed eventually. The one downside is that last minion round gave me extra gold and a Nico, but it didn't give me very useful items. The sword and the cloak are not really that good. I would have so preferred to get like a belt or a vest or something like that, something I could put on a frontline tank. But these items just don't work really well for what I want. However, that's countered by this armory, which gives me a tier, and that is what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and toss that in right now. And look how rich I am. I just have so much money from all these Draconic eggs. I can go ahead and level to 6, and I still have 50 gold in the bank here at level 6, so this is kind of crazy. And my board is actually starting to look pretty respectable. I've won the last 2 rounds, albeit against people who were some of the weaker people in the lobby. But this is starting to feel pretty good. Brand is 2-star, Zyra is 2-star, the Udyr is 2-star, and so I just slot in Riven to put Dawnbringer in play. Not that she's a super useful unit here. I would probably prefer to have a unit like Soraka for a little bit more utility, but I can certainly run the Riven for right now. And again, I'm just trying to preserve health here while continuing to econ, let those Draconic eggs keep hatching, making me stronger, and hope to recover here basically from a start that was kind of weak. Economically, I'm in amazing shape. It's more that I'm in a situation where my health is still kind of mediocre. Here I go up against the strongest person in the lobby, someone who hasn't lost a single round yet. They've actually win streaked the first 6 rounds of the game. But it's actually going pretty well. Brand was able to sneak a fireball over to the enemy Brand, and even though the Abomination comes out, we win. And that's really good news because we end that person's win streak, and that's good not just for me, but good for the whole lobby as well. All right, so here I'm going to pick up the Nunu, and I see the Nunu here, and there's actually a Warwick on the bench. So I was thinking, I'll just grab both of these, and then what I can look to do is at level 7, I can take out the Riven, play both of these, and go up to 4 Brawler, which I think is quite good at the moment. And I've been having a lot of success running it. Typically when I'm running how to reach kind of Karma in the late game, typically what I've been running is 4 Brawler and then 3 Abomination, running Brand for some Spellweaver damage, and Brand holding the Karma items. And then Brand plus Nunu gets you 2/3 of Abomination. And then you just need to slot in 1 more Abomination unit. Callista's pretty easy to find. If you get lucky and find an early Rise, that can be nice as well. Right there, Brand slips a Fireball through onto the Zyra on the other team, who is that team's entire damage. And so that's going to be enough to win this fight as well. Again, these fights have been close, but I've been winning them. And Brand's Fireball does 1,890 damage. So even though Death Cap is maybe not the item you necessarily want to super prioritize on Karma, I had the 2 rods, and I think it was important to slam that item just to keep preserving health here in the mid game. I don't know if I win all these rounds. If I'm trying to hold out for like the absolute most perfect Karma items, then I don't think I win all these rounds in the mid game, and I need to preserve that health. So right here, I'm going to win the race for that rod. It looks like that other player also wanted it. And there's a rod for them as well, but they're going to have to get it on a 2-cost cannon instead of a 4-cost Draven. So just a little bit more money. And I'm just going to slam this on Brand, and then we'll figure out what the last item could be. It could be, I always had the option to make this into a Gunblade, although I don't think Gunblade is great on Karma. Alternately, maybe I can find like a Shadow Rod for Shadow Deathcap. That would be completely amazing. Deathcap and Shadow Deathcap would just do insane damage. Or maybe I could find a Brawler's Glove and get the spell crit, which would also be really nice. That might be even better, honestly. But, Brand's just going to do crazy damage, and the trick is just I need to keep Brand safe in these fights. He will kill everything if he stays alive long enough to do it. His damage will fall off eventually because he's single target, and that's the main reason why Brand is not great in the super late game, just because his damage, as I said, falls off as the game goes on. But for here on stage 3, he's certainly a good unit to keep running. Unfortunately, in this fight, you see what can happen against some of these assassin comps. The enemy Katarina just blinks on him and basically one-shots him instantly with her. It looks like she got a spell crit with her Infinity Edge. And this round is still close. And in fact, we would have killed the Katarina. Brand got a fireball onto her, but she had the Guardian Angel and then came back to life. So a very close round, but we do lose. And unfortunately, that ends the win streak. I made a mistake going into that round as well. You saw I leveled to 7 because I had enough money to do it. But I kept the Riven in, and that was a mistake. What I should have done is I should have taken Riven out and played 4 Brawlers with the Warwick there. I think that 4 Brawlers actually would have won that round because Gragas is healing didn't really do anything. Like having Dawnbringers for healing didn't really do anything in that fight. I think that having extra health on all of the brawler units would have been better. And then I do recognize the mistake right there and put in the Warwick. So that's why I'm doing that. If you're wondering why I'm putting some of these units in the back center part, it's because there's a lot of assassins in this lobby, and I'm trying to get assassins who are in the middle of the arena to jump onto like the Warwick and the Udyr and get stuck on those units. And like if you watch this fight, that's exactly what happens. The LeBlanc jumps, and instead of hitting my carries, instead of hitting the Zyra and instead of hitting the Brand, she ends up getting stuck on, I think, a Warwick right there who can just kind of soak up the damage and it doesn't matter. And so that's going to allow me to win this fight pretty easily. It sucks I lost that one fight because it was a pretty close fight, and I think I could have won that and carried the win streak through. But nonetheless, stage 3 has been amazing for me. I went from being like one of the lowest people in the lobby in terms of health to being right in the middle of the pack. 70 health, being at 70 health coming out of the end of stage 3. 70 health is perfectly fine. I mean, you always want more, but 70 is not bad. This is more or less where you'd like to be. I was able to 2-star most of my board. I don't have 2-star. Actually, the brawlers are all the ones that aren't 2-star. I finally was able to 2-star set out of some of the Draconic eggs. I've been selling the ones that have popped up. Like Brand has really good itemization. I got that tier from the armory, which was huge. And then look what happens here. I get a glove that pops out, and that's just perfect. So we'll just go ahead and make spell crit right here. Then I get more good luck from the shop. I hit the 2-star Nunu, and then I get an early Karma. But for once, I'm not going to go into Karma right away. I thought, you know what? My setup is pretty strong here. I won 4 of the last 5 rounds. I'm going to keep the Draconic in a little bit longer. I'm going to run Draconic up to level 8, and then at level 8, I'm going to look to try to transition into Karma. So I want to run this. I want to keep running Draconic as my bridge comp a little bit longer, and then I'm going to look to go to level 8, roll on level 8. And then I'll see if I can transition into my Karma setup. That's always the most difficult thing in Teamfight Tactics, when you're in one team setup and you need to transition from like an early game setup into a late game setup. So we're going to have to try to see how well I can do that here. Keep in mind, I also have the 2 Nikos help. So I've got the option to Nico some units. I could always Nico Karma. I'm hoping maybe I'll be able to find Karma, and then I can use the Nikos on like a Garen or a Volibear. Like if maybe I can 2-star some of the legendary units. So that's my hope, but I can't really find the legendary units until I get to level 8. So that's why I want to get to 8 and then roll on 8 and then hope that I can find stuff there. So here I have the option to get some different items. I go ahead and take the tier, and the reason why I take the tier is I want to go ahead and turn that cloak into a chalice. In retrospect, I don't know if that was the right decision. The one thing that I look back on this game is my front line is still pretty weak. I have like no items on my front line at all. I have a 1 belt on Gragas, and I'm wondering if I should have taken the Shadow belt and made Shadow Warmogs and just put that on Gragas, because that would make him much tankier. Remember, the Dawnbringer health regeneration is based on a percentage of your max health. So having like a Shadow Warmogs on the Gragas would give him a lot more health, and then he would regenerate more health as well. So my front line is pretty weak. And I wanted to make use of that cloak on my bench, but maybe I could have saved that cloak and then combined it with like another cloak for a dragon's claw, or like a vest to get a gargoyle stone plate. So anyway, that's just food for thought. I don't think that was a bad use of the item that I picked up at all, but it's like I already have really good items on my Brand. I'm not sure that I need a chalice for even more damage. I actually thought I was going to win this fight, but it turned out that the Callista one-shot the Brand with her ult, and that was really bad. That was like the one unit I needed her not to target. But unfortunately, even though the Callista has like no items at all, her ult hit right on top of Brand that he just died instantly. And once that happened, I couldn't win the fight. So maybe I wasn't going to win that fight because that Nunu has really good items in terms of tank stuff. And then those items would have passed along to the Abomination as well. So I don't know. But in any case, it didn't work out, and such is life. I actually have a chance, by the way, for this. I've got this really large Draconic egg. There is a chance that a Heimerdinger can pop out, which would be really nice. I would love to see that happen. You also note I'm just picking up Tariks. I'm hoping to stash Tarik and have Tarik go into my comp. He's a good complement to Garen, and he's also just, again, good protection. Tarik plus Garen, both knights, kind of useful for the late game. I run them a lot with the Karma team competitions, depending on what units I hit. And we're going to look to transition after this round. So I went ahead and leveled to 8 because it only cost me 1 gold to do so, 1 gold worth of interest to do so. Unfortunately, that we're going to see the Diana go off, and that Diana was at like 10% health when she got her ult off, and that just loses the fight for me, unfortunately, because it tosses Brand into a place where I don't really want him. And so those last two fights, a little bit unlucky in terms of fight RNG. I think I could have won some of them. But again, you see the fact that I lost all that health earlier in the game. Just losing those two fights causes me to drop down to 48 health. And now I really have to transition. And this is going to be like the most difficult round of the game, trying to do this transition and do it quickly. On this carousel, there's a Garen, and I was like, ooh, I'd love to get that Garen. But unfortunately, I lose the same turn tiebreak with this other player. We're both on 48 health, but I lose the tiebreak, and that kind of sucks. And the items here, like, there's not really a lot I want, so I just go ahead and grab the tier. I figured could be Spear of Shojin. It could also be Shadow Redemption on Gragas. That's not a bad item either. But it could be something useful. There wasn't really a lot left over on that carousel that I wanted. All right, so now I need to go ahead and start doing this transition. So we're going to take out the Brand, who's been great up to this point. We're going to look to put in Karma, and now I can take out the Udyr, and now I'm going to look to start getting other units in, so I need to keep rolling here. Probably should have picked up the Syndra, just in case. I do pick up the Teemo, because I haven't found the... And I actually miss a Gragas there, but I find the Garen, and that's the really big hit. So now I'm going to look to put this in, and just for the moment, I'm dropping my Spellweaver. So I haven't really finished the transition thus far, but I did manage to get Invoker in. So it cost me 6 health to pick up the Teemo, but I don't think that was... I think that was probably worth it here. I did manage to get the Spellweavers out. I kept the 4 Brawlers in for the time being. I want to drop down to 2 Brawlers, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. Even though Karma's only 1 star, she carries pretty hard with the items I have. She has pretty disgusting items at the moment, and I don't want to commit my Nikos yet. I'm going to wait until after. I'm going to continue rolling here, and then I'm going to do a big roll down after the minion round, and I will just want to see what I hit. And I'm going to hold off on committing my items until that happens. And remember, I said that egg that's sitting there on my bench does still have a chance to hatch into a Heimerdinger, which would be nice. There's another Teemo. I decided to hold off on that. I could have picked up Teemo here, and then like I could have just picked up the Teemo and Nico'd it for Teemo 2-star, and that would have been a very strong play as well. So here I'm trying to drop down to 2 Brawlers, and I managed to pull off that transition, drop down to 2 Brawlers, go up to 4 Dawnbringers. I still have not gotten the positioning right here. I still have a Chalice on my bench. So like I said, I'm not the absolute fastest at doing this transition, but I think I managed that reasonably well. I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to play Heimerdinger or if I'm going to play Teemo here. And it's partly just going to depend on what units I hit, as far as whether I hit... I mean, I guess I could have picked up that Teemo, but I'm always a little hesitant to run Teemo because he does cost you that health. It would cost me another 6 health on Teemo. And honestly, I wouldn't mind running the Ivern here. I'm kind of hoping that I'll find Ivern, and then I could just run Ivern for... Invoker, and then maybe I can run Heimerdinger instead. So we're going to see, let's see, Riven gets 2-starred there, and I end up getting, oh, actually I end up getting, did I end up getting items out of that egg? Wow, I didn't think that you could get items out of the 3 Draconic eggs. It looks like I ended up getting the pieces for, what is it, another item here. Well, in any case, we're going to go ahead and look to... make use of that Chalice, end up putting it on the Riven, and then I'll make Hurricane on the Teemo, because why not? I want to make use of those items. Probably should have waited to see what came out of this minion round before committing those items, because I end up getting the items for another Chalice. I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll just go double Chalice here. And again, I'm going to look to roll down. I finally 2-star the Gragas, and then there's the Ivern. And so here, I get another Heimer, and I was like, why don't I just run Heimer over the Teemo? I'll just keep rolling here. I'm really hoping I can get another Karma. And then I was like, all right, I think I know what I want to do here. I'm going to make another Chalice. I'm going to look to replace the Teemo with Ivern because I want more frontline here. And then I'm going to transfer the items that were on Teemo over to Heimerdinger. And then I'm going to Nico the Garen and Nico the Heimer. And boom, we've got our board. So even though that wasn't as fast as like the professional players can transition, I still think that was handled pretty well. So we went from a Draconic team to a team that's not Draconic at all. The only Draconic unit in there is Heimerdinger. But like now we've got 2-star Heimer, we've got 2-star Karma, we've got 2-star Garen, we have 2-star Taric, and I still have 34 gold in the bank. So now we'll just go to level 9, and my board feels like it's very, very strong. We actually kind of annihilate this person that we were up against. And it's not even close. But of course, that person was still stuck at level 7. So I think this game really shows how you want to run Draconic as a team comp. I don't think that Draconic is really that good for like running in the extreme late game unless you hit Draconic 5 very, very early and just start snowballing off the Draconic items that come out of the golden eggs. But like I think that Draconic is good to run in the early and mid game. You want to hit it in the as early as possible. If you really want to have it in place by like the start of stage 2, just run it throughout stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, use it to get to level 8, and then transition into whatever your endgame team comp is going to be, which for me in this game was going to be Karma. And if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm boxing up my carries because there's a lot of assassins in this lobby. I think there's 2 or 3 different assassin players in this lobby, and I'm just trying to protect my carries so that assassins cannot jump on top of them. That's the idea. It also works out well in this fight because it turns out that the Vel'Koz beam is not directed at my carries. We're actually going to knock out interrupt the second cast of the Vel'Koz ult. And so here, I'm just hoping we can kill him before he gets a third cast off, and that's going to work just fine. So we're going to knock that player down to 4 HP. I was actually hoping I would knock them out of the game right there, because I don't really like that Vel'Koz. If my positioning is wrong, if the Vel'Koz is pointed at my carries, I just lose that fight immediately. So got a little bit lucky there. I was positioning to dodge assassins, but it turned out that it worked really well for that comp as well. So again, look at a lot of these comps. So there's basically 3 different people that are running some sort of assassins in this lobby. There's 2 people that are running straight up assassin comps, and there's someone who's running a Draven Mordekaiser who has a Diana. And we already saw earlier in the game how if the Diana jumps right on top of my carries, then it's going to go very poorly. So again, I was looking at which comps I had hit recently and trying to just shuffle up here so that there wouldn't be an ability to jump onto my carries. This is actually someone who's trying to run a Karma team composition as well. That Heimerdinger on the other side is pretty scary. If Heimer gets an ult off, it's going to do an awful lot of damage. But watch Karma right here. She's going to get off a spell, and she just crits on her spell, and Heimer just gets one-shotted, never gets to cast. That's my Heimer casting, not the enemy Heimer. So we blow up this person and just knock them out immediately. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's nice. Let's get that comp out of there. Don't want them to hit Heimer 2-star with them having spell crit and Infinity Edge. And they had Dawnbringer, multiple Dawnbringers on there. Again, I don't think you really need to run that many Dawnbringers in the Karma comp. I'm running 4 here. I think you can make an argument dropping down to 2 would be even better, but running it here. In this fight, I go ahead not this fight. On this carousel, I go ahead and take the Shroud of Stillness, the shadow version of the Shroud. I would have liked to have gotten a frontliner item, but I felt like I had to take the Shroud here. And the reason for that is my comp has to stay bunched to defend against assassins. Like as I mentioned, there's several different assassins in the lobby. I have to stay bunched so that those assassins can't just dive on top of Karma and Heimer and kill them immediately. So I have to stay bunched, and if I have to stay bunched, that Shroud could hit my entire team. And for a spellcasting team like mine, getting shrouded would just be a disaster. So I felt like I had to take the Shroud just for denial value to make sure I wouldn't get shrouded in these fights. Even though I really would have liked the Shadow Guardian Angel. It would have been really nice to put that on Garen. But like I said, I felt like I had to take this just so it couldn't be used against me. And so like right here, that Diana, I'm bunched up just so that the Diana will not be on top of the Karma. And in fact, we're actually going to kill the Diana before she gets to ult, which means that this is going to should be a relatively easy round. Like Draven gets immediately blown up by Karma. There is the Mordekaiser to deal with, and that's a bit of a problem because Karma doesn't match up very well with Mordekaiser. Like you can see him swinging away here, and how difficult, even with the entire team working together, it is to kill this Mordekaiser. But he was hitting the Heimer turret for a while, so eventually the team is able to kill that unit, even though it's pretty scary. And so this has been a great stage 5. I've been able to win, 6 games in a row, or 6 matches in a row here. And I'm pretty close to level 9, and at level 9, I'll have the choice about what to put in. There is the chance to run 4 Invokers if I want to pick up Teemo. The one issue with doing that, I think that would maybe be the strongest possible version of this team. Take out the Nunu, replace with Volibear, and then drop the Riven, who's not really doing anything, and put Riven would be replace Volibear. Here, unfortunately, I was trying to transition. I managed to dodge the Vel'Koz beam, but I don't manage to dodge my own Shroud of Stillness, which hits my own team. Whoops. That's not good. But I was able to dodge the beam, and I think that that's probably the most important thing. But I kind of need Karma to kill these units. Don't forget I have the Abomination to deal with, too. And unfortunately, it heads right for Karma. But the good news is we are able to trigger the Shadow Shroud on that Vel'Koz. Now we just need to kill the Vel'Koz. Come on, Karma. Need one more cast. There we go. So it turns out that Heimer and Karma are able to survive. And even though I shrouded my own team, it turns out to be okay. Now, even though this person with the Vel'Koz got knocked out, their ghost is fighting against the person who has Mordekaiser. And that Shadow GA is going to trigger, and their Ghost actually wins around, even though they've already been knocked out of the game. Anyways, I was saying, I think the strongest possible version of this comp plays Teemo and then puts in Syndra. Replace the Nunu with Volibear, play Teemo and Syndra, and then the Riven comes out, and you only run a 3 Dawnbringer instead of running. Actually, you could probably take out Gragas instead of take out Gragas and Riven. Yeah, take out Gragas and Riven, and then play Teemo plus Syndra plus Volibear, I think is the strongest version of this comp. But trying to get Teemo's 2-star would cost me 18 health, so I was a little bit hesitant to do that in this situation. So that's the reason why you're going to see me not opt to play Teemo, is I just didn't want to pay that much health to try to 2-star the Teemo. I was just hesitant about doing that. So I'm going to take a slightly weaker setup here, and instead I'm just going to just find Volibear, and I think I just end up eventually finding Volibear and playing that unit here. There we go. So we'll just slot in Volibear. It leaves us with 3 brawlers, which is a little bit weird. You see, I certainly could have played Teemo here. They certainly popped up enough, and the Syndra's popped up as well. But like, this lobby is relatively close. I'm only at 42 health. I just didn't want to pay the 18 health for Teemo. I was thinking, even if I don't win, my thinking is not so much to win the lobby, but to make sure I at least get like a second out of this. Well, anyway, the positioning was really good for this round. If you're wondering why I've been over on the left-hand side, this is why. Note that the Diana and the 3-star LeBlanc just dive on the Heimer turret. They don't hit any of my units, and so I'm able to eliminate that player pretty easily here. But if the positioning had been different, if I had not been bunched up, if the LeBlanc had jumped right onto my carries instead of jumping into empty space, that could have been a very different fight for me. So like I said, there's a reason why I've been positioning over here in the corner the whole time. So now I'm basically just looking for the Volibear 2-star, and I'm going to hit that there. So now my comp is pretty much finished. As I said, I think the stronger version of this comp is to play 4 Invokers and drop down to 2 Dawnbringers. But overall, I'm reasonably happy with what this team comp looks like. So once again, why am I positioning over here on the left-hand side? Again, I'm trying to dodge the, like I said, trying to dodge the Assassins. But then something really scary happens. This one player who's running Assassins hits 3-star Katarina. And I was like, ooh, that's not good. That is not what I want to see. But I don't hit that comp on this particular round. Note again that Diana is not jumping on my carries. That's why I'm on this side. This person really probably should have repositioned their Diana. So Diana just hits a Heimer turret and does nothing. And then the rest of my team just annihilates this setup. We were able to pop Mordekaiser while he had his shield down. And when that's the case, this comp doesn't look very strong at all. So over here, they're in the Ghost round. Unfortunately, the player does win the Ghost round. Would have been nice to have them lose because they're only on 13 HP. They actually could have maybe gotten knocked out. But now that they've hit the 3-star Katarina, that player is going to be very strong. So that's what I'm worried about now. It's like, all right, 3-star Cat. Ugh. And it's 3-star Cat with 6 Assassins and Coven. And the Cat basically has perfect items. I think ideal would be to have Shadow GA instead of normal GA. But other than that, it's perfect items for Katarina. And that person has a 2-star version. Has a 2-star version of Diana. I believe has a 2-star Viego as well. So I'm going to try to shroud that comp. And wow, Shadow Thief's Glove on the Diana over there. So yeah, pretty scary stuff. Well, I guess they only have a 1-star Viego. So I'm up against this comp. Now watch my Karma. Boop! Did you see that? Karma just got one-shotted by a Katarina dagger. Like literally died instantly. Just from a random dagger popping around. I guess it crit, but Kat's got like 100% crit chance, so she's pretty much always going to crit. I was like, oh man, like I can beat this comp. I just need Karma not to die instantly. And in fact, Garen's even going to trigger the Guardian Angel here. But it turns out that we're actually going to end up losing this round. It's very close, but we lose this. By the way, why was the Heimer turret firing at that team? Well, I believe Viego actually took over the Heimer turret, which is kind of funny. Anyway, so items here, I was trying to figure out what I wanted. And by the way, it is down to just the 2 of us. So now we need to try to win around against this player. I was like, it didn't really have a great sense for what to pick up. Maybe it would have been good to take I would have taken the Thief's Glove, not the Thief's Glove, the Dragon's Claw, if it had been there, but was taken by the other player. So I just opted to take the Shadow version of the Hand of Justice. I don't know if that was the right item or not, but I saw that Garen survived to the end of that last fight. I thought maybe that'll give him a little bit more damage. Maybe if he survives to the end of these rounds, that would make the difference. So I'm still up against this player. Again, I am worried about my Karma just getting one shot again. So I was like, all right, Gonna try to reposition Garen, and let's just move Karma so that she is not in the corner. I had noticed that the cat bouncing blades did seem to hit units in the corner a little bit earlier. The problem with this, though, is now I'm at risk of that Diana, who once again has rolled really good items on her Thief's Glove. She rolls she rolls a mana item and she rolls spell crit on her Thief's Glove. So that's a little bit scary. I'm hoping that she can maybe roll some items that aren't so useful. So once again, we get down to just the Katarina, and Garen is still alive and Daisy is still alive. Come on, Garen. There we go. But unfortunately, it's not quite enough damage to knock this other player out. But we did win that round, and that had me feeling a little bit better because even though Karma got hit again, and even though we weren't able to do a good enough job against the Diana, it did work out okay. The scary thing is now the Viego is 2-star as well. So like this is a really scary comp on the other side. The 3-star Katarina, 6 assassins, Coven, and all of the assassins are 2-star, including Viego and Diana has the Shadow Thief's Glove. So I'm going to try to reposition over here. Again, I'm trying to box up my carries and trying to make it so that I'm not getting dived on by the assassins. But Karma's in the corner again, and I don't know if that was the ideal thing, because that means that the cat bouncing blades are more likely to target her. Cat actually goes after the Heimer turret first, and that is going to allow Karma to get some more cast off. But once again, she just gets randomly popped by a bouncing blade. But we got a little bit more time before that happened in this fight, and Heimer is still alive, and wow, we just barely clutched that fight out. Whew, what a close one. So Garen is still alive. Maybe that Shadow Hodge on Garen made the difference. I don't know, but he's still standing at the end, and I'll take it. Well, anyway, there you go. So it's a win, and it's a promotion to Plat 2 in rank. So, hey, doing pretty well here. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching this Draconic early game. I wanted to show a little bit about how to play Draconic early game and then transition out of it. Until next time, hope you guys are enjoying this video. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys again soon.